Welcome back to Blender, and this video will explore some relatively simple techniques to create a 3D model of the biggest bone in the body, the femur, or the thigh bone. At the end of the modeling video, you will hopefully have made one yourself. We are going to make this model using mesh modeling, which is manipulating a mesh's vertices, edges, and faces to create a model. Now, this is an introduction to modelling, so we will be creating a simplified lower polygon 3D model of the femur, but that is still effective in getting the message across that it is a femur bone. Modelling organic or natural shapes, such as anatomy, has its pros and cons. The cons are that they are more complex, have curvature, and therefore can be more time-consuming to produce. But the pro is that these organic shapes are variable, so we do not have to make an exact model to the reference images for it still to be realistic or believable. This first video will go through some of the terminology of mesh modeling, how to perform certain tricks to model, and then finally how to set up the reference images we will be using to base our model off. So we are going to go through some of the functions to the left here in edit mode. I'm going to select faces to start. We can extrude a face using the shortcut E, or you can select this item here to the left. Select the face you want to extrude first. I'm going to pick this one. Hit E. Move with your mouse to the position you wish, and left-click to confirm. If we go back into solid mode, you can see we have extruded the face, but we've also created new ones as well. Next, you can insert a face within a face using this function here, or shortcut I. So hit I and drag with your mouse along this black dotted line to create the size of the face you desire. Left-click to confirm, and now we have a new face. Any of these features can be edited once again in this pop-up window here. And now it acts like a normal face. You can extrude it as well if you want, or any of these other edit functions to the left as well. You can bevel using shortcut Ctrl B. For example, with the edges, it will cut, soften, or round the edges, or the face or vertices if you wish to do it on them, so they are not as harsh. If we select edges, select an edge, Ctrl B, drag along the line with your mouse, you can see we have cut the edge to make it less harsh. The more segments we add, the smoother or more round it will look. As you can see, if we rotate this model round, you can see that it is a lot smoother at these edges here. Next we have loop cuts, which can be found here, or the shortcut Ctrl R. This will cut the mesh at a desired place in order to create more faces, edges, and vertices. If you hover over your mesh, you'll see at first a yellow line. Click and it will turn orange like mine has. You can click and drag to place the loop cut in the position that you want. You can also increase the number of cuts or how smooth these cuts are, which will have a knock-on effect on the mesh as well. Now I have cut all the way around the mesh. Mesh modeling is basically we are manipulating vertices, edges, and faces to create a shape. In our case, an organic or atypical shape. We will move these around to create our femur bone. So one last very useful tool to mention is proportional editing, which is shown up here. I'm going to demonstrate proportional editing on a sphere. So make sure proportional editing is on, and you are in object mode. Shift A to bring up the add menu. select sphere. I'm going to hide my cube so I can see the sphere. Go into edit mode, and I've selected vertices. Now if I select just one of these vertices with proportional editing on, I should be able to move the vertices within this white circle that has just popped up, as well as the one that is selected. The scroll wheel increases or decreases the area of effect, and if I move these about, it will have a knock-on effect to the ones within this circle. As we move the mouse around, you can see that the vertices within this circle move as well as the one selected. If I demonstrate just moving one, you can see how harsh this is compared to the other vertice I have just moved using proportional editing. Now you have a good understanding of the main tools we will use for mesh modelling. Now it's time to add our reference images. So first I'm going to hide the cube and the sphere just for the moment. To add a reference image to your scene, Shift A to bring up the pop-up menu. Make sure you're in object mode to do so. Scroll down to Image and select Reference Image. Select the reference image you want from your files and select Load Reference Image. As you can see, it's not completely straight and is at an angle, so we can adjust that, making sure it faces forwards as this is a front or anterior view. Change the rotation so the femur aligns to face forward. Now our reference image is facing forward. Now I'm going to add a back or posterior view as well by doing the same thing again, but making sure it faces the back. Load reference image. But as we can see, it is now in the exact same position as the other reference image. As the reference images are in the exact same position, I'm going to move the back view or the posterior view back slightly so they are no longer overlining. You can do that in this window here. I am moving it in the y-axis, so now they are no longer overlapping. It is a good idea to organize your scene, so rename your reference images. Give them a name, something that will be useful for you to recognize easily. I'm going to name mine reference image front, and then the other one reference image back. You can name it whatever you like. Remember to double click and then type away what you want to put in. I'm going to add a new collection to store the reference images and rename that collection, just making things a little bit more organized. Move them down to your new collection. I'm going to delete the cube and the sphere as we don't need them anymore. And now we have a much more organized scene. The reference images I have used feature from Gray's Anatomy books. You should be aware of using images that may have licenses that could prevent you from modelling directly off them, and additionally if you were to sell or use this model. We are using images that have Creative Commons, in particular public domain. Now we have both reference images, we now have a rough idea of the 360 view. Remember to save your project, and for the next video we will start modelling the femur. Thank you for watching.